So before we, just as a bit of housekeeping, so I think that the agenda dictates or says that we'll begin the final session here at 4:35. However, because we have quite a nice panel that's planned here, we have a moderator as well as 3 panelists. In the interest of just giving everyone a little bit more time to, giving the panel a little bit more time to dig into such an important topic, we'll go ahead and get started a little bit earlier. We'll go ahead and start the final content block here on the main stage momentarily. It's my pleasure to announce our final session for the day here on the main stage. The session is Unleashing the Potential, Unleashing the Potential, Exploring the Journey of India's 1.2 billion mobile users into Web3 and immersive technology. So it's my pleasure to invite our speakers. We first have our moderator, Mr. Eddie Avil, who is the Metaverse Strategist at Shemaroo Entertainment and is also the founder of XROM, who is one of the partners of AWE Asia. And he's joined by panelists, Mr. Rahul Mishra, who is the head of Web3 for Shemaroo Entertainment, Mr. Sanan Goyal, who is the founder of SGX Consultancy, and Mr. Arnav Neel Ghosh, who is head of partnership and growth at Blippar, as well as an independent XR consultant. Let's please welcome our panel.
Good evening, guys. So first of all, thank you. It's a complete pleasure to be speaking to you guys. We're not going to keep you guys waiting because I know we're the last panel over here, so we're going to keep it short and sweet. We're going to stick to the 25-minute mark. We're not going to get into the introduction, no slides, nothing. Keep it as... the PPT basically has a scanner, a QR code, which you guys can scan. It'll take us to our social media profiles, hit us up. Would be more than happy to take this conversation forward virtually. Physically, obviously, we'll be available post this panel discussion for a one-on-one chat. And the agenda behind this conversation is to bring to you the insights of what's happening in India in the space of Metaverse and Web3, the cutting-edge insights. And also, basically, to find a way where we could collaborate, because I think there's a lot of segregated work which is happening around the world when it comes to XR. And the only way I personally think that this can grow is if we all join hands. So I personally got into XR in 2016, and there was just a handful of startups in the country, around 5 or 6. Cut to 2023, there's 1,000+ startups in the country. And the same stands true for Web3. Today, we have around 500+ startups. And I think the difference between the Metaverse and Web3, the numbers, 500 and 1,000, is largely because of the government's approach towards Web3. It's regulatory frameworks. It's unreasonable taxes, which has kind of pushed the Web3, the brightest minds of the Web3 to greener pastures. They're moving out to UAE, Singapore, and other countries. So I'm sure that India is going to feel this loss in the next coming years. And I think Balaji Srinivasan, the Web3 pioneer, he summarizes this in a very nice way. He says he's very positive about India and its people, not so much about the Indian government. So without further ado, my first question goes out to Arnav. Arnav, so I think we're doing all the right things. I mean, just last week, we landed on the moon, becoming the only 4th nation to do that, the first nation to land on the South Pole. We have overtaken China. This is the largest populated country in the world. The largest youth population in the world. All great things happening, 1.2 billion mobile users. So this Metaverse and Web3 transition, how is this going to add value to the mobile users?
Hello. So Eddie, given a very great introductions to where India is today, I think the number itself is a big opportunity, right? I think aside to the challenges of policy, right, the larger opportunity is the amount of scale we have, right? So with that scale, ability of tools that the government has created for accessibility of digital information, digital infrastructure, right? That's come to fruition now. So you add the ability of Metaverse and Web3 to, I think every hype cycle has its desired ups and downs. So I think COVID has hastened adoption of some newer technologies because of the necessity of the context of where the market was. I think people were forced into doing a lot of stuff in digital, but now I think things are getting corrected. I don't think there is a plateau that has hit. So the question about how will Metaverse and Web3 adapt to the numbers that we have, I think it's a process of getting the right business models, getting the right context, and getting the right use cases for getting people in volumes to come and participate. I think, but I believe, as we spoke earlier about this as well, I think the adoption of immersive technology in any country, any society, is powered by communities and powered by vested interest of the consumers who see at a certain level. You implied government schemes, policies. So you incentivize them, they will come and participate. But let me tell you this, that the fastest growth in India in terms of adoption, right, beyond internet, beyond social media, has been the smartphones, right? We had an outlier with COVID coming in, right? Otherwise, we would have had a stronger positive indices in Metaverse adoption as well. People just haven't had enough time to understand what Metaverse could do or Web3 could do in solving challenges, business challenges, consumer use cases. I think we haven't had enough time. And of course, the government didn't spend enough time to incentivize people to invest more, to use more, or build a behavior. I think it's about a behavioral issue right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Rahul, this question goes out to you, because you're part of the organization Shemaroo, which is the largest entertainment company in India. How's this transition, the Metaverse and Web3 transition, going to add value?
Yeah, thanks. Firstly, thank you, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Let me correct you. We're not the largest entertainment company, but we are one of the leading companies in India. I just want to, just go back to very, very interesting points, Nav, as well. India has 175 million PUBG installs, and that app is banned in the country, by the way. So what's interesting is that I think what India hasn't done well is marketing its XR, Metaverse opportunities and build which is happening. I think India has been more focused on the more internet, SaaS tech opportunities right now. So we don't hear so many success stories of what's happening in the country, but there is a lot of adoption happening. And I don't know globally if there are so many examples of successful metaverses as well. So there are, it's still in very, very early stages of, foundation. Of course, enterprises have seen value, but consumer-wise, Roblox, Fortnite, PUBG, these are all the big ones, and India is there right now as well. So what happens is, and I think very valid point, it's the sheer population. We're sitting with the largest, the most populated country in the world, and 50% of the population is below 25. And once the internet goes three-dimensional, immersive as it will, as we know it all here, and that's why all of us are here today as well, the opportunity of adoption in India is possibly the highest at this stage. Now, what can we do as companies, enterprises vested in this space? A is on the on the technology front, India currently has very, very few officially sold HMDs. Oculus is not present in the country. We have very, very overpriced HMDs by other leading companies as well. So the accessibility to technology is very, very low right now. And the second problem is, of course, engagement. If the person buys the HMD, what do they watch on that? What do they do in that? Because the cultural, the language barriers are very, very unique to India. So what we can look at it is an opportunity to create the right engagement with the right technology being focused into the Indian market. So just to give an example, we are an entertainment company. We've been in the business for 60 years now. And 60 years is a long time. We've seen Web 0, 1, 2, 3. And what are we going to do? Are we going to just sit back and wait for the internet to become three-dimensional? No, let's just try and get there early and create engagement, create immersive entertainment options for people. And that's what we're doing. And so are similar companies in the Indian landscape doing as well. And I'm sure collectively, with all of us putting a mic together, this will happen very soon. And probably India will be back again on the Metaverse map with a big star there. Yeah.
Sanan, so Arnav and Rahul shared their views on the Metaverse and Web3 convergence and where the value is at. Who do you think is driving the ecosystem forward? When it comes to Metaverse and Web3, is it the people? Is it the startup community? Is it the government? Is it the enterprise? Who's driving the?
Well, from that perspective, see, it's a combination of all, right? For sure, when it comes to driving the industry in terms of the money, it's definitely the enterprise. That's who is adopting the majority of the XR technology. So especially from the hardware perspective, what we're looking at is everything in the realm of education and training, whether it comes in the healthcare sector or the defense sector. There's been a huge push. We've seen schools in the most remotest regions of India adopting VR headsets to learn. I mean, it's a great tool, right, for kids. So that's been, enterprise along with education's been driving the industry in India specifically. Yeah.
Right, yeah, there's just so many awesome things happening, but again, it's very, very segregated. I guess once it comes together, we'll start seeing things and maybe it'll just amplify things overall. What are your views on that, Arnav? Who do you think is kick driving the ecosystem in India when it comes to Metaverse and Web3?
I think if you really see what is happening in Metaverse globally, it's not been defined properly. I mean, is Roblox a Metaverse? Is Sandbox a Metaverse? Do you have a Metaverse with, if it doesn't have blockchain? I mean, we have definition problems and people tend to jump into definitions very, very quickly without understanding what's the context of why you're jumping into the definition. I think what has been driving, I think there are, so one part is, one thing is happening between Web 2 and Web 3 is the ability of people to create content, right? If you empower people to create more content, you will have more content creators coming in. You will have more people creating. Essentially, you're driving a creator economy, right? And India today, because what he mentioned is entertainment is one of the key spokes of driving change in India, right? Given the perceptual behavior it establishes. Today, if you had Sholay, for example, in Metaverse, we would have had Metaverse installs or the version of that in hundreds and thousands and millions of phones, right? It's about, I feel there is one piece which is you need to, as I mentioned in the earlier, in my earlier thoughts was, you need to empower people to create, right? You need to make them collaboratively part of the ecosystem. That's one. Second is, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who don't have access to basic funding. They have great ideas, right? We have great startups, great business models in Northeast, right? But we don't have enough funds there. They have to come to a Bangalore or to a Bombay or to a Delhi or even to Singapore, for example, if they have the wherewithal, right? To find the opportunity to fund their idea. The third piece, is that the entire concept of building, creating, deployment of the technologies that is used in Metaverse today, right, is lopsided, right? We have huge amount of work, government support happening in defense. We have huge amount of work happening in healthcare, right? But if you really step out of those two areas, right, there are a lot of great opportunities exist, but there's no enough funding, not enough infrastructure. So I think the challenges are, where do you sit? How do you find the balance, right? I think empowering consumers, and when I say empowering consumers, it's not about creating filters, right? The reason I go back is you have to empower communities to start building. Those are the building blocks, right? And once you find tangible traction between what would a community want, right, to build on XR to solve a problem. I will tell you, sustainability is a big problem in India, right? We can create, take those 16 SDGs and build around them. You will find a lot of traction, a lot of purpose-driven consumerism coming on XR. We need those kind of movements. But those kind of movements can't be supported on venture funds. It needs to come from public money as well. So I think initiatives needs to happen. There are enough and more people who are willing to build on top of it. I think we'll get there. We need to just shake the tree a little bit more.
Right. So where's the opportunity at? Because like I mentioned, the conversation, the reason behind this panel discussion is to find ways where we could collaborate, because you've been mentioning about community, and that's the way to take things forward. And collaboration is the key. Where's the opportunity where maybe startups from Singapore, the rest of the Asia could kind of come in and do something? Where's the opportunity at, Rahul?
Yeah, so, India is, everybody in the room knows India has a huge developer community. The GitHub numbers for Web2 show about close to 7 million developers. Out of them, about 1 lakh are Web3 developers, which essentially means that, there's a huge tech talent sitting in the country, and I'm sure many companies here in the metaverse space have a few Indians in their workforce, working across various parts of the value chain. I think that, if sort of, fueled and funneled well, can actually create great opportunities. And secondly, India has also been very, very open for being test beds. There's such a large market. One state would be 4-5 times the size of the population of Singapore itself. So the opportunity for companies to come and experiment and offer solutions in the market, at least B2C solutions, is immense. So there are a couple of ways, there are collaborations which can be done between Indian XR companies and companies sitting out of India, both on technology, both on test beds, go-to-market. That's something I can think of right now.
Right. So since it's a 25-minute panel, we didn't want to plug in our own works and stuff like that. But again, Rahul, Arnav, the same question goes out to you. Where's the opportunity at? Where can startups from Singapore and India, how do we collaborate? How do we grow this ecosystem together?
I think he's already answered a bit of it. So we suffer from a perception problem. There's the opportunity is. When we landed the first, we got the first mission on Mars, right? And the Chandrayaan on Moon, right? It was used indigenous technology. So test bed, right? So, but the point is, efficient test bed doesn't mean cheaper test beds, right? So we provide world-class technology as well. So a lot of the collaborative opportunities in technology development use engineering talent, right? Those could happen out of India. It's already happening at a certain extent. But we need to do more, right? Business development in terms of, India unfortunately has been used as a sweatshop, right? You create some great body of work, solve some great problems in Dubai, right? But the technology DNA is out of India. But unfortunately, the IP value doesn't reside in India, right? So I think the opportunity is, at a policy level, you need to start opening up the doors a little bit more. I can tell you for sure, the trade policy between, say, a UK government and the Indian industry is huge, right? I myself has been a product of how the UK Trade Association has opened up the market for Indian startups in UK, vice versa. So there is a lot of mutual benefit that has been happening, programs that is happening. We need more more comprehensive programs beyond a Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Hyderabad, right? We need to go and dive a little deeper, right? So we don't have problems with technology. We don't have problems with resources. We don't have problems with quality. We don't have problems with education, right? The only way industry can grow, right, is you need to find and support resources, funding, and a little bit of policy support from the government, right, to create opportunities in India. For example, if AWE today was not in Singapore and was in India, right, you have had a lot of people coming in and showcasing what we could do, right? So I think it's just about building value, building IPs, and creating that opportunity there.
Right. So the last question, we're going to keep it short because time's running out. If you can quickly speak about, what's the coolest innovation, either in Metaverse or Web3, that's caught your attention? Sanan, you can go first. India, specifically from India.
Sure. So I'll speak specifically from the hardware perspective. Right now, there's been very few innovations in India, but there's been few significant ones. There are at least 3 startups who are working on some really cool hardware that has come out of India. Right now, the biggest concern with the Indian market is, again, like Arnav mentioned in the beginning, is that there's lack of hardware ecosystem. Right now, again, from the opportunity perspective, because of the youth population, the community is very quick with technology adoption, right? They're quite active, and they're quite quick when it comes to adapting these new technologies. So there's huge market, not only from the perspective of consumer but enterprise as well, right? So I mean that's about it. Yeah.
Arnav, your views on it?
I think we have some great use cases in pockets. We have done a whole host of work on digitizing our history. There's a lot of work that has happened in digitizing history as well. There is a lot of I think there's been one startup I know in Delhi which works on travel, right? Which has digitized all the UNESCO heritage sites in India, right from Rajasthan, and it's in a mission to do that, right? So I think rediscovering heritage, right? Metaverse is a no-brainer, really, right? It really depends on who sitting where will define what context it is. I think Pankaj Manchanda's startup, right, has done some great work in creating, in digitizing. When I say digitizing, creating immersive interjections, creating virtual worlds, and creating a new discovery module for Indian content. Plus, if you really see the amount of people who have signed up today on Unreal, right, from far corners of the world, right, is mind-boggling in the way people are focusing their energies and belief in building content on those kind of engines, right? So I think those are 2 great signs and opportunities as well. Community-driven. Unreal is a community-driven program, by the way. Those are 2.
Rahul, we got 3 minutes. Coolest innovation from India.
I would love to sort of plug in what we are building out, but that's not the best thing to do today. I can catch up offline and share what we're doing. But yeah, I think what I feel, I won't call it a startup, and I may not call it innovation, is what I really like is what the biggest telecom player in India, Jio, is doing. Jio is building out its own HMDs. They are not waiting for, other international companies to come and launch in India. When will they launch? When will it happen? A telecom company with 400 million subscribers is seeing the opportunity of the immersive internet. Obviously, it has a larger business value for them with 5G, 6G rolling out. But the initiative of doing this itself is great. I don't think anywhere in the world there are telecom companies who are actually focusing and building out the hardware solutions themselves. I think that in a way is a great step. and they're already marketing that in the country right now. So which is going to boost this entire ecosystem very, very quickly. And I mean, just like the fast adoption of internet, how the Indian internet population grew from 400 to 700 million in 3 years, you know, we might see the similar boost happening for XR and AR once the HMDs are easily available.
Right. Yeah. So I think cool things happening in India, and again I'm going to stress to close this conversation that the reason we are here is we want to be the conduit between India and Singapore, because there's so much that we can do together if we collaborate. You know, and yeah. So on that note, thank you guys. Yeah. Have a lovely evening. Bye bye.